The sheets are yours. The pillow is yours. The dark is the familiar dark of your own room, your own bed, your own breathing. But something shifts. The cotton under your hands changes. Crisper now, stiffer, pressed with a starch that smells of institution. The mattress narrows. The walls close in on both sides until the room is barely wider than your shoulders. A shelf appears above you. A hook on the wall. A mirror the size of a book. A vibration arrives. It comes through the mattress first, before it becomes a sound. A rhythmic pulse, low and mechanical. Clickety-clack, clickety-clack. The pulse of wheels on rail joints, felt in the ribs and the spine before the ears catch it. The room is moving. The bed is moving. Everything is moving. Warmth rises from below. Directional, concentrated, rising from a pipe somewhere beneath the floor. The air is enclosed, warm, carrying the smell of brass polish and clean linen and mahogany. The smell of wood in a small room that has been heated for hours. The smell of a train. The sway begins, port to starboard, gentle. The room tilts and rights itself, tilts and rights itself, and your body knows this rhythm without being told. Your body has known it for 18 years. You are Étienne Renard. You are 41 years old. You are a voiturier de première classe, a senior sleeping car attendant for the Compagnie Internationale des Wagons-Lits. And tonight, you are responsible for sleeping car number 3,351 on the Simplon Orient Express. You wear a dark blue uniform, double-breasted, with gold buttons stamped with the Compagnie crest. A brass master key hangs on a chain at your belt. White cotton gloves cover your hands. A leather notebook sits in your breast pocket. And in your waistcoat pocket, a steel watch, your father's watch, plain-faced, accurate to within a second per day. It is December 15th, 1925. The train departs Paris Gare de Lyon at 7:45 this evening. It is 6 o'clock now. You are in your staff cabin, buttoning your uniform. Outside the window, the platform is beginning to fill. 10 compartments, 10 passengers, 1 night, your night. The uniform jacket is heavy in the way that serious things are heavy. You button it from the bottom. Dark blue wool, double-breasted, each gold button stamped with 2 rampant lions flanking a shield. The Compagnie's crest. You have polished these buttons with a soft cloth until the lions shine, and they shine now in the mirror. The mirror is the size of a book, bolted to the cabin wall at eye height, and in it you check the collar, the shoulder line, the way the jacket sits. Then the gloves, white cotton, pulled on finger by finger. They will be grey by midnight. You carry 2 spare pairs on the shelf above the cot. The staff cabin is 2 meters by 1.5. A fold-down cot with a wool blanket folded flat. A shelf for personal items. A hook for the spare uniform. The rough wool collar presses against your neck. The uniform's one persistent discomfort since the first day you wore it. Through the cabin wall, the platform muffled. Porters' carts rattling. The public address system announcing departures. The distant hiss of a locomotive building steam. And underneath it all, the smell of beginning. Brass polish, starched cotton, the cold metallic edge of December air seeping through the window seal. The brass master key clips to your belt. It opens every door in your car, every compartment, every service panel, every linen cupboard. The chain is short enough that it doesn't swing. The leather notebook comes from the breast pocket. 10 compartments, 10 names in pencil. Compartment 1, Castellani, wine merchant, Alba. Compartment 2, Hartley, textiles, London. Compartment 4, Countess Volkonsky. The names and their preferences, their destinations, their habits. Years of accumulated knowledge written in soft pencil because pencil erases and passengers change. The steel watch from the waistcoat pocket. Laurent Renard's watch, your father's. Not an elegant timepiece. A plain steel case, a white face, black numerals, hands that move with the patient certainty of a mechanism that has nothing to prove. It loses less than a second per day. You check the time, 6:04 p.m., 1 hour and 41 minutes to departure. The weight of the watch in your palm is the weight it carried in your father's hand for 31 years on the Paris-Lyon line. You close the case and return it to the pocket where it rides against your ribs. Close the shelf, smooth the cot blanket flat, the cabin left inspection ready as it was found. Open the cabin door and step into the corridor of car 3351. Your corridor, your car, 163 crossings on this route, and the corridor still requires checking. The attendant's discipline. Nothing assumed, everything confirmed. Walk the corridor. 10 compartment doors on the right, each numbered in brass plates that catch the sconce light. Windows on the left, the platform visible through them. Open compartment 1. Test the bed mechanism. Smooth action, no resistance. Open compartment 3. The window latch. Tighten it. This one rattles above 80 kilometers per hour and has done for 2 crossings. Open compartment 5. The fold-down bed. Pull the handle. It sticks at the halfway point, as it has for 3 crossings now. The hip check. Brace your hand on the wall and push the bed with your hip at the sticking point. It releases. This works, but it shouldn't have to. Run a gloved hand along the mahogany paneling. The grain is close. The finish is deep, hand-polished at the factory in Belgium, and maintained by attendants with oil and cloth. The carpet underfoot is deep burgundy, Compagnie standard, thick enough that your footsteps make no sound. Electric lights burn in brass sconces along both walls, casting warm pools that overlap and merge into a continuous glow. The car sways gently on its springs, the living motion of a train, even at rest. Check the heating. The system is coal-fired. A boiler beneath the car feeds hot water through pipes that run under each compartment floor. Touch the corridor pipe near your ankle. Warm, not hot. The fireman has started the boiler early, which is good practice in December. 300 liters of water, gravity-fed circulation, enough to heat 10 compartments through a night when the temperature outside will drop to -8. You read temperature by touch. The pipes tell you what the thermometer would, but faster. Open the linen cupboard at the corridor's end. Count. Sheets, pillowcases, towels, blankets, all stamped seal wool in blue thread at the corner. The Compagnie marks everything it owns. Check the corridor samovar beside the cupboard. A brass vessel the size of a wine barrel, mounted on a stone shelf. Russian design. The Compagnie adopted it because Russian passengers expected it, and then every nationality learned to appreciate it. The samovar is cold now, empty, waiting. By morning, it will be the corridor's heart, the source of hot water for tea, coffee and shaving. Check the coal supply. Enough for 2 full heatings. Check the water valve. Closed. Everything in order. Check each compartment's water carafe. Filled, capped, a glass inverted on top. The wash basins. Taps functioning. Drains clear. Soap in the dish. 10 compartments, 10 inspections, 10 small confirmations that the machine is ready. The brass sconces. The Compagnie electrified the sleeping cars 3 years ago. Before that, oil lamps and candles, and the attendant's nightly duty included trimming wicks and replacing spent tapers. The electric light is steadier, safer, and dimmable. A dial near the attendant's station controls corridor brightness. The train is a machine that improves while pretending nothing has changed. Stand at the corridor's midpoint. 10 doors checked, 10 compartments ready, everything functioning. The satisfaction is quiet, specific. The satisfaction of a machine prepared, a stage set, the audience about to arrive. The clean pride of a job completed before anyone is present to see it done. The silence of an empty sleeping car has its own character, not the silence of an unused room. That silence is dead, indifferent. The silence of furniture waiting for no one. This is a silence of readiness. The heating pipes tick softly as the metal expands. The springs in 10 beds hold their tension, waiting for weight. The water in 10 carafes sits still behind 10 closed doors. Everything prepared, everything anticipating, the way a theatre waits in the hour before the curtain. Every light tested, every prop placed, the stage perfect and purposeless until the first arrival. You stand in this silence and breathe it. The distant. The corridor smells of readiness. Lemon oil on wood, soap in 10 dishes. The faint chemical tang of coal dust in the samovar's cold firebox. In 20 minutes, this silence will be replaced by voices, luggage wheels, cologne, the particular commotion of 10 people arranging themselves in small rooms for a long night. For now, the corridor is yours alone. The last minutes of solitary ownership before the performance of service begins. You savor them the way a singer savors the silence before the first note. Not because the silence is better than what follows, but because it is the foundation on which everything that follows will be built. Check the watch, 6:38 p.m. Time to go to the platform. Step down from the car onto platform 5. The cold hits. December, -2. The air sharp in the nose and the lungs. Your breath is visible. The Gare de Lyon rises above you. Iron and glass, the great canopy stretching over the platforms, gas lamps and electric lights mixing their colours. The Grande Horloge on the far wall reads 7:12 p.m. Half an hour to departure. Take your position beside the door of car 3351. Feet together, hands at your sides, white gloves visible against the dark uniform. The signal that says, "This is your car. I am your man." The locomotive is ahead. A PLM Pacific type, black and brass. The firebox glow visible through the cab window. The sound of the idle steam, a low, sustained hiss, the sound of restrained power. The heat radiating from the boiler is visible in the air above the locomotive, the cold December night bending around it. The driver is in the cab checking gauges, a silhouette against the orange glow. This class of locomotive has been pulling your train since 1909. 16 years of watching these machines work, and the sight of one under full steam still carries something. The specific beauty of a mechanism at rest before a long run. the knowledge that 60 tons of steel and fire are about to move because a whistle says they may. The Simplon Orient Express stretches along the platform. Locomotive, tender, baggage car, restaurant car, 3 sleeping cars, fourgon. The route: Paris to Dijon, to Lausanne, to the Simplon Tunnel, to Milan, to Venice, to Trieste, to Belgrade, to Sofia, to Constantinople. 3 days. But your world is 1 car, 10 compartments, 1 night at a time. Castellani arrives first. 3 suitcases and a wooden crate. The crate packed with straw, wine bottles inside. You can hear them shift. Buonasera, Signor Castellani. The Italian claps you on the arm before you can take his bag. Étienne, before we even leave Paris, you must share a glass with me. Take 2 suitcases. Carry them to compartment 1. Handle the crate carefully. The Barolo inside is worth more than the luggage. Hartley next. 1 leather suitcase, 1 attaché case, a nod. Good evening, Mr. Hartley. Evening. The full exchange, complete, sufficient. Carry the suitcase to compartment 2. The attaché case stays in Hartley's hand. It always stays in Hartley's hand. 11 crossings of perfect mutual understanding. Chef de Brigade Foucault walks the platform, pocket watch exposed on the outside of his cuff, the face readable without breaking stride. He checks departure preparations as he walks. A word to a porter, a glance at the baggage car loading, a nod to the locomotive driver. He reaches you. The nod. Nothing more. The nod that means your car is satisfactory. Trust, in Foucault's world, is the absence of inspection. Pascal appears from the next car. Car 3352, his car. Uniform slightly crooked, the collar sitting wrong. You catch his eye. Touch your own collar. Pascal corrects. The lesson delivered without a word. The uniform is the first thing they see. The departure bell rings. 2 sharp notes. 3 minutes to boarding completion. The platform contracts. Last passengers hurrying towards their cars. Porters loading the final trunks into the baggage car. Breath rises from 40 mouths in white columns, visible for a moment, then torn apart by the cold air. Duchamp arrives, fur coat, hat box, and a large handbag that shifts in her grip. Something alive inside it. Bijou. Bonsoir, madame. Take the hat box. Guide her to compartment 6. Say nothing about the handbag. Leclerc last, a single suitcase, a coat too thin for December, looking at the train with the wide eyes of someone seeing it for the first time. Mademoiselle Leclerc, compartment 8, this way. Take her suitcase. Steady her step up into the car. The platform whistle, the jolt, the first slow lurch forward, the couplings taking the strain car by car, and then the platform begins to slide. Paris pulls away. The faces on the platform blur into shapes, then into colour, then into light, and then there is only the track and the dark. Something lifts in the chest, 163 departures, and this moment still does it. The train is yours now. 10 compartments, 10 lives, 1 night. The responsibility settles over you like a second uniform. Knock on compartment 4. 2 knuckles, gentle. The attendants knock, not as strangers. Open the door. The Countess is seated, 1 trunk on the luggage rack, fur coat still on, small hands folded in her lap. Bonsoir, Madame la Comtesse. Your compartment is prepared. She smiles. The smile uses her whole face and none of her eyes. The compartment, velvet upholstery in deep blue, wood panelling dark and warm in the lamplight, brass coat hooks that gleam, a fold-down table, a mirror, a wash basin behind a hinged panel. Her trunk sits on the luggage rack, old, good leather, brass corners worn dull. A label from the Imperial Russian Railways is still attached to the handle, faded now, the Cyrillic script barely legible. 9 crossings since 1918. And you have watched that label fade, crossing by crossing. The cognac glass and bottle are already in position on the table. Remy Martin, the small crystal glass, no ice. You placed them before she arrived. An act so quiet she will never notice the preparation, only the presence. The dining car begins service at 8, madame. She shakes her head. Dinner in the compartment tonight. A tray, something small. Adjust the heating valve behind the panel. 2 notches warmer. The Countess runs cold. She will not ask. You remember. Countess Irina Volkonsky, 71. She lost the estate, the husband, the eldest son, all in the revolution. Fled through Constantinople in 1918 with 1 trunk and her youngest daughter. She lives in the 16th arrondissement now, a small apartment, an allowance that shrinks each year. You know this, not because she told you. 9 crossings teach you a life. The details accumulate the way dust accumulates on a shelf, visible only if you look. The fur coat comes off, draped carefully over the luggage rack, the silk lining visible, worn at the cuffs. The rustle of her dress as she settles deeper into the chair. She occupies the compartment immediately, completely, the way a person who has lived in small rooms learns to make any space her own. The lavender cologne reaches you in the doorway, faint, persistent, the scent of a woman who wears the same perfume because it is all that remains of a habit established in a larger life. 9 crossings have taught you the Countess's evening. She will sit in this chair until 8:30, when the tray arrives. She will eat slowly, methodically, with the precise table manners of a woman who once directed a household of 40 servants. She will read until her eyes tire. Russian novels, always Russian, the language she thinks in, the language that still populates her dreams. The cognac will be poured after dinner, held but not sipped until the hour has deepened. At some point, between midnight and 3, she'll press the call button, and you will bring the small glass, and she will talk. This is the pattern. It does not vary. The human rituals that replace what has been lost, the regularity a substitute for the life that once provided its own rhythms. The Countess's clockwork grief, wound nightly, running until dawn. She turns to the glass and watches them go. You step back. I will bring your tray at 8:30, madame. She nods without turning from the window. Close the door, stand in the corridor. The train is accelerating, the rhythm building, the sway deepening as the speed climbs. The first crossing, you were 23, the uniform too large, and Vienna appeared at dawn through a window exactly like this one. The wonder of it, a moving hotel, a corridor that crossed a continent, brass and velvet and the sound of wheels on iron. The wonder has not entirely left. It hides now, smaller, in the first minutes after departure, when the train finds its speed and the corridor hums. The corridor window. Paris is outside, the marshalling yards, the suburban lights, each window a yellow square, a life glimpsed and gone. The train's rhythm steadies, The clickety-clack finds its meter. The sway settles into a regular pulse that you feel in your knees and your hips. The corridor reflects in the darkening glass, the sconces, the panelling, a man in uniform standing still while the world moves past him. Then, the suburbs end. The countryside begins, and the darkness is total, and the window is a mirror, and the corridor is all there is. The departure compresses into motion. Paris falls behind, the marshalling yards, then the suburbs, then the Burgundy plain, each village a scatter of lights past and forgotten. The train finds its cruising rhythm. You move through the first hour, checking heating valves that have settled to working temperature, confirming the restaurant car schedule with the maitre d'hotel, answering a call from compartment 3. The German diplomat wants an extra blanket, the request polite and specific. You deliver it. You confirm with Pascal that car 3352 is in order. The young man nods. The countryside outside is already dark, December dark. The corridor windows show nothing but reflection. The brass, the wood, the attendant's uniform, the same image repeated in every pane. At 8:15, word arrives from the restaurant car. Dinner service is beginning. Push through the vestibule door. The coupling is visible through the floor plates, the flexible gangway between your sleeping car and the restaurant car, metal shifting under your feet as the train articulates through a gentle curve. Open the glass-panelled door a hand's width, and the restaurant car announces itself. Sound first, cutlery on porcelain, the high clear ring of crystal touching crystal, 5 languages layered over each other, French dominant, then English, then German, a thread of Italian from the center table, and somewhere at the back, Turkish. Beneath it all, the bass note of the train's wheels on the track, steady, the pulse that everything else sits on. Then the smell. Butter, seared fish, bread warm from the oven, red wine opened and breathing, the waxy heat of candle lamps on white linen, the concentrated warmth of 40 people eating in an enclosed space. The restaurant car at full service. 42 seats, 31 occupied tonight, a respectable count for mid-December. The kitchen is visible through the service pass, 4 meters long, producing 5 courses for 40 guests. Consommé, fish, meat, cheese, dessert. The chef de cuisine is a white jacket and a focused expression, moving with the contained violence of a man cooking in a space the size of a corridor. Crystal silver on every table. Baccarat crystal. The Compagnie's table service costs more per place setting than a week of your wages. You do not enter the restaurant car during service. That is the maitre d'hotel's domain. A different crew, a different hierarchy. The threshold is yours. From here, you see Castellani at a table for 2, alone, his own Barolo beside the house wine, gesturing to the waiter with the expansive confidence of a man who believes good wine is a form of conversation. Mademoiselle Leclerc at a corner table, studying the menu as if it contained a contract she must sign without error. Duchamp at the center table, visible, intentional, the room arranged around her by some gravity that has nothing to do with seating assignments. Hartley is absent from the restaurant car. Of course, hot water and lemon in his compartment, the Times, the door locked by 10:30. The Englishman dines in London before he boards, or not at all. 11 crossings, and you have never seen him eat. The precision of his abstinence is its own kind of statement. A man who does not need what the train offers, only what the train provides: transport, privacy, the locked door between himself and the continent. Dr. Brandt is also absent. The doctor takes nothing from the restaurant car on any crossing you can remember. A thermos of coffee brought from Paris, and whatever he carries in the worn leather bag. The medical journals are his evening meal. The lamp is his company. Some passengers use the train as a social occasion. Others use it as a monastery. The moving cell, the enforced solitude, the hours quarantined from the demands of arrival. The first time you saw the restaurant car at service, 23, an assistant conductor standing in this same vestibule, the baccarat crystal catching the candlelight and throwing it back, doubled. The silver reflecting the candle flames in miniature, 100 tiny fires on 40 tables. The sound of 5 languages spoken simultaneously, none of them arguing, all of them eating. A moving country with its own citizens and its own rules, crossing borders without stopping. 20 years later, the amazement has become knowledge. But the restaurant car at full service, the light, the noise, the heat, the miracle of a 5-course dinner produced in 4 meters at 80 kilometers per hour, is still the most beautiful room on wheels. Move to the kitchen pass, request the Countess's tray, her order placed earlier, consommé, a small portion of sole meunière, bread, a pot of tea. The tray is assembled, white porcelain bearing the Compagnie crest, a linen napkin folded into a triangle, the food arranged with the same care as a restaurant plate. Lift the tray, carry it back through the vestibule. The coupling shifts underfoot, the metal floor plates tilting as the cars articulate, and the tray stays level. 18 years of carrying on a moving floor. The hands know what the mind never could. The noise drops as the vestibule door closes behind you. From 40 voices to the train's own sound. The wheel rhythm, the creak of the car body, the whisper of air at the window seals. The temperature falls a few degrees. Step back onto the carpet. The wood panelling returns, the sconces, the quiet. Knock on compartment 4. Enter with the tray. The Countess is still in her chair, the cognac glass untouched. She will drink it after dinner, as she always does. Set the tray on the fold-down table. Soup in the center. Fish to the right. Bread and butter to the left. The teapot behind. She reaches for the consommé with the unhurried precision of a woman who was taught that haste is a failure of character. Walk the corridor. The transom windows above each compartment door cast rectangles of light on the ceiling, the glow from reading lamps spilling into the shared space. The corridor at 9 p.m. is quieter, most passengers at dinner or settled in their compartments. Compartment 7. Dr. Brandt's door closed, the light behind it on, and through the transom the sound of pages turning. The doctor reading his medical journals, the same occupation on every crossing. Compartment 8. Leclerc still at dinner. Open the door. Inspect. Her clothes folded neatly on the seat. The careful precision of a young woman who wants to get everything right. A photograph in a silver frame on the fold-down table. A young man's face. The Serbian diplomat's son. The reason for the journey. Close the door. Note, this passenger returns late, unfamiliar with the routine. Cigar smoke drifts down the corridor from ahead. Castellani's Toscano, the Italian cigarillo, sharp and earthy and faintly sweet. It clings to the panelling the way strong tobacco does, and it will be there in the morning. The door handles are warm under your gloves, each one a slightly different temperature, each compartment's heating finding its own equilibrium. The specific sounds of passengers settling after dinner, someone running a tap in compartment 3, the diplomat washing before bed, the distant clink of Castellani opening another bottle, the rustle of Duchamp's script pages, audible through her transom, the heating pipes at their warmest now, the boiler running at full capacity as the outside temperature drops. Your body reads the corridor, the vibration through the floor at cruising speed, the slight list on left-hand curves, the way the whole car settles into its rhythm like an animal finding its gait. The door handles are cooling now, the passengers' hands no longer turning them, the brass surrendering its borrowed warmth back to the corridor air. You know each handle by its resistance. Compartment 1 turns freely, the mechanism recently oiled. Compartment 5 catches slightly at the quarter turn, the latch worn from years of use. Compartment 8 is stiff, new hardware, installed at the Vienna workshop last month, not yet broken in by 1,000 turnings. The corridor window at 9 o'clock shows the same darkness as 7, but the darkness has thickened. The last village lights have fallen behind. The countryside is fully asleep. Fields, farmhouses, roads, all invisible, all surrendered to the December night. The only light for miles is this train, a ribbon of gold moving through black country. Inside, 40 people are eating, reading, sleeping, living their evening lives in a vessel of brass and velvet. Outside, nothing. The isolation is total, and it is your particular knowledge that makes it bearable. You know the boiler is fed, you know the rails are clear, you know the driver is competent and the fireman is awake. The passengers trust without knowing what they trust. You trust because you know exactly what holds this corridor together, and what it would take to come apart. The rail joint interval is steady, even. 80 kilometers per hour, the cruising speed on the Paris-Dijon stretch. You read speed by sound. The interval between clacks is a number, calibrated across 12 years of this track. South of Sens now, the burgundy plain opening up outside the windows, though the windows show only reflection. The train's rhythm tells you the country is flat and fast. From the vestibule door, the restaurant car still visible, the passengers at their evening selves. Duchamp at the center table, the room arranged around her with the actress's instinct for placement. She has chosen the seat where the candlelight is best. The expensive coat on the back of the countess's empty chair, the nervous girl in the corner, the empty chair across from Castellani. You see everything from the threshold, every coat, every glass, every expression. The attendant's position, to see everything and be seen by no one. The particular solitude of service. Chef de Brigade Foucault appears at the far end of the corridor. 9 p.m. The pocket watch on the outside of his cuff catches the sconce light. He walks the corridor without hurrying, opens compartment 2 at random, checks the heating, the linen, the water supply, opens compartment 6, checks the same, says nothing, closes both doors. He pauses at your position. Car in good order. 3 words. The highest compliment in Robert Foucault's vocabulary. He moves on. The connecting vestibule door closes behind him. The corridor is empty again, the inspection passed without event, and the work of an attendant is confirmed in its nature. To be so thorough that inspection finds nothing, so quiet that passengers forget you exist. The disappearance is the craft. The corridor runs. The passengers are served. No one notices. This is success. Knock on compartment 1. Avanti! Castellani's voice fills the corridor before the door is fully open. The compartment is dense with his presence. 3 bottles of Barolo on the fold-down table, 1 half empty, an open suitcase spilling shirts, a shaving kit on the wash basin shelf. The Italian is in shirt sleeves, collar unbuttoned, waving you inside with the authority of a man who considers all enclosed spaces to be extensions of his dining room. You must try this, my friend. 1918. A difficult year. The war, the rain, the boys gone from the vineyard. But the wine does not know it. You should refuse. Compagnie regulations forbid attendants from drinking with passengers. But Castellani has been offering for 4 crossings, and refusal has become a different kind of discourtesy. A small glass, half filled. The wine is dark, almost black at the centre, brick red at the rim. The smell fills the compartment. Dried cherry turned earth, something like old wood and dried flowers. The taste, tannin first, gripping the tongue, then the fruit, cherry, plum, then the earth rising underneath. The warmth settles in the chest immediately. The particular warmth of wine drunk standing up in a moving train. Castellani talks. Alba, the vineyard, the harvest, the Nebbiolo grape and its stubbornness. It needs the fog, he said. The autumn fogs of the Langhe hills. The cold mornings that contract the skin of the grape and concentrate the sugar. His wife, Maria. She could taste the soil. She would hold the glass and say, "This is the south slope, the limestone, the clay. The Barolo is the hill speaking." A widower for 2 years, filling a compartment with his wife's name. Filling a glass for a stranger because an empty glass across the table is worse than no glass at all. You stand in the doorway and listen. The attendant's other skill, not service alone, but audience, the willingness to hold a glass and let a lonely man talk. The first time you tasted good wine on the train, your second year, an assistant, a Burgundy merchant heading to Vienna who poured you a glass of Chambertin and said, "A man who serves wine should know what he is carrying." The taste of it, nothing like the table wine from your father's kitchen. The revelation that the train carried not just people, but their pleasures, their educations, their generosities. 20 years of glasses offered and accepted. Each one a small lesson in what the passengers carry besides luggage. Castellani's destination, Lausanne, the morning stop, where he changes for the Milan connection and then home to Alba, the Langhe hills, the vineyard, the house. He will be gone by dawn. One of the passengers you serve for a single night and then release. Return the glass. Grazie, Signor Castellani. Buonanotte. The Italian clasps your hand. Both hands, warm, firm. The handshake of a man who means every gesture he makes. Step back into the corridor. The taste lingers, tannin and cherry. The warmth still in the chest. Pull the door closed. Castellani is alone again. The wine, the wife's name still warm in the air. Knock on compartment 6. A rustle, a pause. Un moment. The sound of something being concealed. Fabric over fur, a small rearrangement of weight. Open the door. Duchamp is seated, silk dressing gown over lace, legs crossed, Shalimar filling the compartment like weather. On her lap, barely hidden by a cashmere shawl, Bijou. The dog looks at you with the absolute confidence of an animal that has never once been refused anything. Ah, Étienne, you see nothing. The actresses smile. Confession and dare in the same expression. The dog is against Compagnie regulations. No animals in the sleeping cars, printed on the ticket, underlined. 3 previous crossings, and you have looked away each time. The dog is quiet. The dog is clean. The dog fits in a handbag, and the actress tips well. The small corruptions of service, knowing which rules serve the passenger and which serve only the rulebook. Shalimar, vanilla, bergamot, iris. A perfume that takes possession of any room it enters and does not give it back. The script on the fold-down table. Racine's Phèdre, the margins dense with pencil notes. A role being built word by word. Bijou yawns, small pink tongue, white fur. The compartment is a stage even at rest. The silk catching the lamp light, the actress in costume even in a dressing gown. Adjust the heating. 1 notch down. Duchamp runs warm, and the perfume intensifies in heat. Venice and the Teatro La Fenice. She has been engaged for a production of Phèdre, the role she says she was born for. I will need breakfast early, Étienne. 7. Coffee, nothing else. The actress's discipline hiding behind the drama. Close the door. The perfume follows you 3 steps down the corridor before the corridor's own smell. Wood polish, linen, the neutral warmth of panelling reclaims the air. Note in the leather notebook. Compartment 6, breakfast 7 a.m., coffee only. The evening deepens. The restaurant car empties by 10. Passengers returning to their compartments, carrying the warmth of wine and conversation, and the particular tiredness of people who have eaten well in a moving room. The corridor traffic thins. A last trip to the washroom. A last cigarette in the smoking section. The smoke carried forward through the vestibule and into the cold. A last exchange of goodnights through half-open doors. You watch the car settle. Doors close one by one. Lights dim behind the transoms. The voices narrow to murmurs, then to the sound of bed springs, then to silence. By 10:15, the only sounds are the train's own, the wheels on the rail joints, the heating pipes ticking, the creak of the car body on a long curve south of Dijon. The night service begins. Knock on compartment 8. Come in. The question mark audible, as if permission is a thing she's uncertain she can grant in a room she's rented for the night. Leclerc is sitting on the edge of the seat, hands in her lap, the photograph of the young man on the fold-down table, where it has been since she boarded. Monsieur Renard, how does one... I cannot make the bed come down. She has pulled the handle, but missed the safety latch. Release the brass latch. Pull the handle downward. The bed unfolds from the wall on its counterweight. A brass arm and a steel spring. Smooth, silent, locking at the horizontal with a quiet click. The mattress. Horsehair over steel springs. A cotton cover. Firm, but giving. Make the bed. 90 seconds. Sheet first, snap it once, let it billow, let it fall. The air caught beneath settles the fabric flat. Tuck the corners, hospital corners, tight, the sheet drum taut. The fabric is Belgian cotton, 200 thread count. The weave tight enough that the sheet snaps when shaken. Your hands know the difference between a first-class sheet and a second-class sheet by touch alone. The thread count, the weight, the way the fabric folds. Blanket next, folded back one hand's width from the pillow, the invitation. The pillow, one strike to fluff, centered, the pillowcase smooth. She watches the way a student watches, memorizing the sequence, the economy of movement, the way your hands know each fold without instruction. The wash basin is here. Open the hinged panel, the porcelain basin, white, the brass tap, the soap in its dish. Turn left for warm. The water takes 30 seconds. She nods, filing each detail. The brass latch clicks under your fingers. The crispness of fresh sheets, the faint sweetness of soap from the wash basin, and her quiet breathing. The compartment at bedtime is small and warm and prepared. A room made safe by someone else's hands. She asks about Belgrade, how long, when they arrive, what the station will look like. You tell her. Tomorrow evening, the station is large, well lit. There will be porters in uniform. She will be met. She picks up the photograph. He is meeting me. The trust in her voice is absolute. The certainty of someone who has never yet had a promise broken. Close the door gently. Behind it, a girl is looking at a photograph and believing in the future the train is carrying her toward. Walk the corridor. Something tightens in the chest, not cynicism. You are not a cynical man, but the awareness that the train carries everyone forward and guarantees nothing. Sylvie, in 15 years, on a train, a photograph in her hand. The thought arrives and departs in the same breath, and you walk on. The next compartment, the next bed, the next duty. Knock on compartment 2 at 10 o'clock, precisely at 10, because Hartley's world runs on precision, and to be a minute late would be an insult neither of you would mention. Come. One word. The door opens to order. Attaché case under the seat. The Times folded on the table at the sports page. Pyjamas laid out on the unmade bed with corners that would pass military inspection. Your hot water, Mr. Hartley. The tray, a porcelain cup, a silver spoon, a quarter lemon on a white saucer, hot water from the samovar. The porcelain is warm through the cotton gloves. The lemon's waxy skin catches the lamplight. He takes the tray without looking up. Then, thank you, Renard. The name, not the title. 11 crossings, and the Englishman knows your name. Make the bed. Hartley steps into the corridor to give you room. He stands with his back to the window, hands behind him, the posture of a man who has stepped aside for servants his entire life, and has learned, over decades, to make it look like a choice rather than a habit. The bed made, the heating adjusted, one notch below standard, Hartley's preference. The water carafe filled, the curtain checked. Everything placed for the man who checks nothing because he trusts you to have checked everything. Hartley re-enters. A 10% tip folded on the table. You take it without counting, slide it into the trouser pocket. Thank him. Good night, Mr. Hartley. Good night. The door closes. The lock turns from inside. The definitive sound, the private sound, the sound of a door that stays closed until morning. The smell of lemon and hot water and Earl Grey from an earlier cup, and the wool of English tailoring. The light will go out at 10:30. You know this, because it has gone out at 10:30 on 11 crossings. The door is closed, the lock turned. And what do you actually know? A preference for hot water with lemon, a fondness for the sports page, a locked attaché case, a precise tip, the posture of a man who has never once needed to explain himself. 11 nights of service, and Hartley remains opaque. Not hostile, not cold, but complete. Some passengers give you their life story by the second crossing. Hartley has given you his name and his schedule, and both are offered as final answers. The linen closet at the corridor's end, 1 meter deep, floor to ceiling with shelves. Count: 14 fresh sheets, 12 pillowcases, 30 hand towels. Enough for the night and morning with margin. Fold the used towels from the evening service. The rhythm automatic, hands working while the mind goes elsewhere. Madeline folds laundry the same way, standing at the kitchen table, the same economy of movement. Sylvie tries to help, small hands making small folds, the towels ending up in shapes that are not quite rectangles. The domestic version of the professional act. Different rooms, different reasons, the same hands. The sound here is different. The car's end is closer to the vestibule, and the wheel noise is louder, less muffled by panelling and carpet. The vibration in the shelves makes the stacked linen hum faintly. The smell of clean cotton mixed with the metallic tang of the nearby gangway. Your hands fold while your mind moves. The Countess's tray to collect, the morning trays to prepare. Sylvie's face, when you come home with a sugar cube from the restaurant car tucked in your pocket. The sugar cubes are wrapped in paper, printed with the Compagnie crest, the twin lions, the shield, the motto. Sylvie collects them. A drawer in the kitchen holds 30 or 40, each one a crossing, each one a small theft conducted in plain sight. The chef de cuisine pretends not to notice. The sugar cubes are the attendant's unofficial currency, the small souvenirs carried home to prove that the absence was real, that the distant life exists, that Papa was somewhere specific while the apartment was quiet. Madeleine does not collect souvenirs. What Madeleine collects is patience. 12 nights a month alone in the apartment, the child asleep, the geraniums needing water, the radiator clicking its slow mechanical lullaby. She marks your crossings on the kitchen calendar in pencil, not ink, because the schedule changes. The pencil marks accumulate, lines through dates, small notations, the arithmetic of absence rendered in graphite. You have seen the calendar, you have never mentioned it. Some conversations between married people are conducted in pencil marks and silence, and the careful way she folds your spare uniform when you return. Prepare the morning trays. 6 compartments will want early service. You know which 6 without consulting the notebook. Polish the brass call buttons. 10 buttons, 1 per compartment, each wired to a bell at the attendant station. The call board. 10 numbered flags that drop when a passenger presses. A system designed in 1883, unchanged, still functioning. Walk the corridor 1 more time. Compartment 3, the German diplomat, already asleep, light off, the extra blanket visible through the gap under the transom. Compartment 9, empty tonight, no booking, the door locked. Compartment 10, the Turkish businessman, quiet, self-sufficient, no requests all evening, the easiest passenger on the car. Pascal appears in the connecting vestibule, the young man's face uncertain, wanting guidance. Everything all right in your car? He nods. I think so. Compartment 3 wanted an extra pillow. You tell him. Your corridor is yours. Keep it warm. Keep it quiet. Don't fall asleep before 2. Pascal nods, disappears. His face, the expression you wore at 23, the wanting to be right expression. Your first night. The uniform too large, the corridor too long, the passengers too many. Foucault, a younger Foucault, already precise, showing you how to fold a bed, how to knock with 2 knuckles instead of 3, how to vanish from a room so completely that the passenger remembers the service, but not the servant. The passenger should not remember you. They should remember the service. Foucault's lesson, 20 years old, still the best advice in the profession. Push through the vestibule door at the end of the car. The cold arrives like a wall. December air, cutting through the uniform jacket as if the wool were paper. Step into the gangway between car 3351 and car 3352. The coupling visible below. The metal floor plates shifting with the train's articulation. The temperature drops 20 degrees in a meter. Remove 1 glove. Place your bare hand on the vestibule railing. The metal burns cold, and the sensation is permission. A moment outside the uniform, outside the service, outside the role. Just a man on a train in the dark. Look up. The sky is black and immense. Stars visible between the clouds. The Milky Way broken but present. A smear of white across the southern sky. The train is somewhere south of Dijon. The darkness outside is total. No village lights. No farmhouse windows. The countryside is asleep, and the train moves through it without witness. The sound is different here. No paneling muffling, no carpet absorbing, just the raw clatter of wheels on rail, the rush of air along the carriage sides, the groaning of the coupling as the cars articulate through a gentle curve. The sounds the corridor usually hides. Your breath clouds in the cold, white, visible, torn apart by the slipstream. A specific winter crossing surfaces. 3 years ago, the snowfall between Dijon and Vallorbe, so heavy that the locomotive had to stop twice to clear the rails. The passengers slept through it. You stood in this vestibule and watched the snow fall sideways past the coupling. The flakes the size of coins. The silence absolute, except for the wind. That crossing took 14 hours instead of 11. You did not tell Madeleine. The cold tonight is mild by comparison. Bracing, not dangerous. The kind of cold that clarifies rather than threatens. The cold strips everything back. After hours in the heated car, the perfume, the cigar smoke, the warm wood, the warm conversations, the warm wine, the vestibule reduces the world to temperature and speed and direction. 1 minute, 2. The cold pushing through the jacket, reaching the shirt, reaching the skin, back through the door. The warmth encloses you like stepping into water. The carpet returns, the paneling returns. Pull the glove back on. The hand still tingling, the cold's memory in the fingertips. 11 p.m. Reach up and turn the dimmer dial. The corridor lights drop to half power. The glow softens. The brass grows less bright. The car enters a different state. Not darkness, but a reduced light. A quieter light. A light that says, the day is finished. The corridor at half-light is a different corridor. Quieter. Dimmer. This is no longer a place where people live. This is a place where people sleep. Behind every door, someone is closing their eyes or about to. The conscious world contracting to 10 small rooms and 1 long corridor and the man who watches it. Your night begins, the part of the job no one sees. The hours that belong only to the train and the man assigned to tend it. The turning down is complete. every bed made, every valve adjusted, every carafe filled. The corridor lights at half power. You make the last round before midnight. Every door checked, every transom light noted. Compartment 4, light on, the Countess reading. Compartment 7, light off since 11, the doctor asleep. Compartment 8, light off at 11:30, the girl with the photograph. The train passes through Dijon without stopping. A flash of platform light, the station clock visible for 3 seconds, then gone. The night deepens. The cold outside deepens. The car contracts around its warmth, a lit tube moving through December darkness, and you take your seat. The fold-down seat drops from the wall on its hinge, worn smooth by years of attendance, the wood polished by trousers and waiting. Sit. The corridor stretches in both directions, half light, 10 closed doors arranged in a row. Place the key on your knee. The brass is warm from the belt. The chain coils in your palm. The posture, upright, hands on thighs, feet flat on the carpet. The position a man holds when he intends to stay awake. The sleeping car at midnight. The sounds are the train's own, stripped of human noise, reduced to mechanism. The wheel rhythm through the floor, felt in the soles of your shoes and the backs of your thighs. A bass note, steady, the car's heartbeat. A faint snore from behind one door. Castellani, probably. The wine pulling him under. The tick of heating pipes. Cooling, warming, cooling. The boiler's breath beneath the floor. The hot water circulating in its cycle. The creak of someone turning in bed. A mattress spring. A sigh. Then stillness. The corridor at midnight. Not the loneliness of an empty room. That is a different weight. This is the loneliness of a full corridor. 10 people sleep within arm's reach of your chair, each one behind a door, each one in a life you tend but do not share. 10 people trust you with their night. None of them are thinking of you. This is the contract. The attendant is the one who stays, and the passenger is the one who forgets. Draw the watch from the waistcoat pocket. The steel case is warm from your body, the face readable in the dim light. 12:22 mm. Étienne Renard carried this watch for 31 years. The Paris-Lyon line, the signal box at Villeneuve-Saint-Georges. Your father sat at a window above the tracks, watching for signals, switching points, keeping the line clear through the night. You sit in a corridor above the wheels, watching for call flags, checking temperatures, keeping 10 people safe through the dark. Both men awake at midnight because someone trusts them to be. A railwayman's hands are never still, your father's phrase, and your hands turn the watch, turn it again, the steel case rotating between your fingers. Sylvie, last week at the kitchen table, her legs swinging because the chair is still too tall. Papa, what do you do when everyone is sleeping? The question asked with the earnest precision of an 8-year-old conducting an investigation. You told her. I make sure the train keeps dreaming. She laughed. Madeleine looked at you over the lamp and smiled. The smile that says, that was the right answer. The answer that is true enough and simple enough and kind enough for an 8-year-old who counts trains from the window. The kitchen, the geraniums, the drawings on the wall, the apartment on the Rue de Bercy. All of it 400 kilometers north and receding at 80 kilometers per hour. The corridor darkens by degree. The transom lights go out one by one as the passengers finish reading, finish thinking, finish holding off the night. Compartment 6. Duchamp's light goes off at 12:45. The actress has finished rehearsing. The darkness deepens. Only the sconces remain at half power. The pools smaller now, the shadows between them wider. The train passes through a village. A flash of light. Platform lamps. A station name you do not catch. Gone in 3 seconds. The darkness returns. Thicker for the interruption. The physical experience of sitting at midnight. The wooden seat pressing against the spine. The way the body wants to sleep. The eyelids heavy, the head wanting to nod, the discipline of keeping the spine straight against the wall. The smell of the corridor at this hour. A ghost library of the day's scents. The Countess's lavender, Castellani's Toscano, Duchamp's Shalimar. All fading, all diminishing. The corridor returning to its own smell of wood and wool, and the faint mineral note of the heating pipes. The corridor at midnight reveals what the corridor at 9 conceals. The imperfections. The scratch in the panelling near compartment 3, where a trunk corner caught the wood 3 crossings ago. A pale line in the dark finish that the workshop will repair at the next overhaul. The slight warping of the carpet at the vestibule end where water leaked last winter. The pile still uneven. A ridge you feel through the soles of your shoes. The brass sconce near compartment 7 that burns fractionally dimmer than its neighbours. A connection loosening somewhere inside the wall. A fault you have reported twice, and that the electrical workshop in Paris has not yet addressed. In daylight, these things are invisible, concealed by the passenger's attention and the corridor's own beauty. At midnight, with only your eyes to judge them, they surface. The sleeping car's private face. The one it shows only to the man who stays. The wooden seat presses a line across the back of your thighs. Shift weight. The springs in the fold-down mechanism creak. A sound so familiar it registers as silence. The body wants sleep the way water wants the downhill path. Naturally, inevitably, requiring effort to resist. The eyelids thicken. The neck muscles soften. The lower back aches from 14 hours of standing and walking and carrying and bending. The feet swollen in the polished shoes, the leather tight across the instep. The body's honest accounting of the night's cost, presented at the hour when the mind is least equipped to argue with it. Rise. Check the corridor temperature. Hand on the pipe near the floor. Still warm. Good. Compartment 3. A sound. The German diplomat coughing. Listen for 10 seconds. The cough subsides. Not a concern. Compartment 5. The door latch has slipped. The door ajar a centimetre. Close it. Relatch. The small corrections of the night watch. The maintenance nobody sees or records or remembers. Return to the seat. 2 a.m. The mandatory round. Rise from the worn wood and walk. The pace is different now. Not the pace of a man travelling through the corridor, but the pace of a man listening to it. Slow. Each door a station. Compartment 1, Castellani asleep. The Barolo finished. The empty bottle a darker shadow on the fold-down table. Compartment 2, silence. Absolute silence. Hartley asleep since 10:30. The Englishman sleeps as he wakes, completely. Compartment 6, the faintest sound from inside. Bijou shifting on the bed, the dog's nails on silk, a small movement, and then stillness. Compartment 7, Dr. Brandt's breathing, deep and regular, audible through the transom. The doctor sleeps the way he does everything, without reservation. Compartment 8, nothing. Leclerc, The girl with the photograph, silent, perhaps dreaming of Belgrade, the station, the young man's face, the sounds of sleeping. Each compartment a different register, a different rhythm, a different life at rest. You carry the knowledge of these sounds the way a doctor carries a pulse count, the data of people who don't know they're being monitored. Stop at the corridor window, look out, see only your own reflection. A man in a dark uniform in a dark corridor, floating in the glass, the tunnel of light behind him stretching to a point. Beyond the reflection, nothing. Blackness. Eastern France at 80 kilometers per hour. Invisible. The glass is a door between two worlds. Inside, carpet, sconces, sleeping passengers. Outside, blackness, cold, the invisible countryside. The reflection is uncanny at this hour. A man floating in darkness. The corridor behind him a golden tube suspended in nothing. The trust required to sleep on a moving train. To close your eyes and believe that the rails continue, that the driver is awake, that the attendant is watching. The countess and the actress, the merchant and the doctor, the businessman and the girl. All of them equal now. All horizontal, all breathing, all trusting that the train will hold and the man in the corridor will watch. The democracy of night. Wealth does not sleep differently. Grief does not sleep differently. Love does not sleep differently. Behind each door, the same surrender, consciousness released, the body given over to the mattress and the motion. Touch the heating pipe at 3 points along the corridor. Warm, warm, slightly cooler near the vestibule end, where the gangway lets the cold seep in. The boiler is holding, but the gradient tells you the fireman below has banked it for the night, reducing the coal feed to conserve fuel. If the temperature drops 2 more degrees, you'll find the fireman or stoke it yourself. The passengers sleep in warmth because someone below feeds coal and someone above checks pipes. The invisible chain of care that holds the night together. 10 compartments, 10 passengers. 6 will want morning service starting at 6. The samovar needs lighting at 4:30. Coal, water, 45 minutes to full temperature. Coffee for 5. Tea for 2, Hartley and the Countess. Nothing for Brandt. Castellani disembarks at Lausanne, his bags to the vestibule by 6:15. The porter arranged, the tip expected. The arithmetic of the morning run now in the quiet, so the morning itself can feel effortless. The call flag drops, compartment 4, the brass flag tilting on the callboard with a quiet click that sounds loud in the silence. You know before you knock. The Countess, who cannot sleep on trains, who has not slept properly since 1918. Knock, softer than the evening knock. 2 knuckles barely touching the wood. The knock that says, I know you are awake. I am here. Entree, her voice is clear, unsurprised. She is sitting up in bed, the lamp on, reading glasses perched on her nose, a book in Russian open on her lap. The cognac, madam? She nods. Remy Martin. Small crystal glass. 1 measure. Pour. The brandy catches the lamplight. The compartment's one warm colour against the blue velvet and dark wood. She does not drink immediately. She holds the glass in both hands, warming it, the ritual observed. The first sip postponed, until the spirit breathes. Remy Martin cognac, old leather from the trunk, lavender cologne, and behind it all, the warm scent of someone who has been reading in bed for hours, the smell of paper and skin, and the lamp's heat. Her voice is low, the Russian accent softening the French vowels, rounding the consonants. The lamp's tick is audible. At this hour, the quiet is deep enough that small sounds become large. Do you know what I miss, Étienne? She uses your first name. The hour erases formality the way snow erases a path, gently, completely, without asking permission. The sound of a house is never quiet. A house breathes, a train only moves. You stand in the doorway. Protocol says leave. Protocol does not account for a 71-year-old woman alone on a train crossing France at 2 a.m. And the attendant is the only other person in the world who is awake to hear her. She talks, not about Russia, not about loss, about the apartment on the Rue de Passy, the radiator that clicks in the morning, the floorboards that creak in the hallway when she walks to the kitchen, the concierge's cat that sleeps on the third floor landing and opens one eye as she passes. The ordinary sounds of a home. The sounds that tell you the building is alive, that other people exist in it, that you aren't the only person breathing. Her hands on the cognac glass, the fingers thin, the knuckles pronounced, a ring on the left hand that she turns as she speaks, her reading glasses catching the lamplight, the Russian book face down on the bed cover, its spine cracked from repeated reading. The compartment at this hour is a different room from the one at 6 p.m. Closer, smaller, with conversation. The shadows deeper. The lamp creating a pool of light that contains only 2 people and a glass. You listen, because listening is the one thing you can offer that is not in the service manual. The honesty of this hour, when what people say and what people mean become the same thing. The cognac is finished. She hands back the glass. Her hand touches yours briefly through the glove. A brush of dry skin against cotton, the contact so slight it might not have happened. Thank you, Étienne. You may go. The dismissal is gentle, the politeness of a woman who was raised to release servants with grace, even at this hour, even when the servant is the only company she has. Close the door. Behind it, the light stays on. The book returns to her lap. The Countess is reading Russian in a moving train at 3 in the morning, and you cannot help her except by pouring and leaving. Walk back to the fold-down seat, the glass to be washed, the bottle to be recapped. 9 crossings, the trunk with the fading Russian label, the cognac glass, the sleepless nights. You carry their stories the way the train carries their luggage. Not yours, not permanent, but heavy while you hold them. Sit again, the corridor empty, the Countess's light the last one burning. The watch says 3:05. 10 minutes. Then the vestibule. The vestibule again. The second visit tonight. Not for the cold this time, but for the sky. Open the upper ventilation panel. The air floods in, different from the lowland air of earlier. Colder, thinner. The smell of pine and snow replacing the smell of frozen fields. The train is climbing. The Jura grades. The engine note deepens. The locomotive working harder, the exhaust heavier, the wheel spin audible on the steeper stretches. The speed drops, the rail joint interval stretches, the curves tighten. You cannot see the mountains, but you can feel them, the mass of them, the weight of stone and snow pressing in on both sides of the track. The sky has cleared, the clouds broken, stars thick and close, the Milky Way visible as it never is in Paris, a river of white across the zenith, the engine working harder, the deeper note of the exhaust, wheels gripping tighter on the grade. Pine, cold rock, snow on wind. The Jura night smells like altitude, thinner, sharper, the air carrying less and meaning more. The stars are bright enough to cast faint shadows on the gangway floor. The coupling between the cars creaks more on the mountain curves, the tighter radius straining the flexible gangway. The sound of the engine's exhaust bounces off rock walls somewhere in the dark. A delayed echo that tells you mountains are close even when you cannot see them. The watch, 3:17 a.m. The hour your father died, at his signal box, alone. The stroke took him at the logbook. The telegram arrived the next morning. Your father, please come. Madeleine's hand on your shoulder. Sylvie too young to understand why the apartment was quiet that weekend. The signal box at Villeneuve-Saint-Georges. The chair still warm when you arrived. The logbook open. The last entry in his handwriting. A train number. A time. The notation clear. 4 years. And you have been marking this hour on every night watch, quietly, without telling anyone. 3:17. The hand on the watch, the memory of the chair, the question that surfaces at this hour. Every night watch, always here, always now, in the vestibule between the cars, in the cold, in the dark. Is this enough? The corridor, the key, the passengers. Is this a life, or is it the shape a life takes when a man is away from home half his days? Madeleine, Sylvie, the apartment, the geraniums, the drawings, the life that happens while you stand in a corridor watching strangers sleep. No answer. There never is. The question is a companion, not a destination. It rides in the waistcoat pocket beside the watch, and like the watch, it measures something that does not stop. The cold presses through the uniform. Not the surface cold of the platform at departure, but the deep cold of altitude, the cold that reaches the bones. The stars shift as the train curves, the whole sky rotating slowly overhead as the track winds through the Jura. The engine note changes, the grade levels, the speed recovers. The rhythm finds itself again. Close the ventilation panel. The cold retreats, the pine smell fades. Return to the corridor. The warmth, the half-light, the 10 doors. The watch, 3:42 a.m. The darkest hour past. The night beginning its slow turn toward morning. Sit again, the last time tonight, the last hour of the watch, the question asked and unanswered. But something has shifted, as it shifts every night at this hour. Not resolution. You do not resolve the question, you carry it. The corridor is quiet, the passengers sleep. The train moves through mountains toward dawn, and the carrying is enough. The watching is enough. The being here, upright, awake, hands on thighs, the key on the knee, and the watch in the pocket. This is the answer that is not an answer, but is, in the silence of the Jura night, as close to one as you will get. The hours between 3:30 and 4:30 are the longest. The train descends from the Jura into the Rhône Valley, the gradient easing, the engine note lifting. You walk the corridor once more at 4, all quiet, all warm, all sleeping. The Countess's light is finally off. Return to the seat. The watch says 4:17. Then 4:28. Then 4:31. The minutes stretch and cling. The fatigue is familiar, not sharp, not dangerous, but a weight behind the eyes, a softness at the edges of attention where the mind begins to blur. Then the samovar needs lighting. Then the trays need setting. Then the morning begins. And the weight lifts, because the body knows the difference between waiting and working. The 4 o'clock round is the gentlest, the footsteps slower, the listening deeper. Each compartment checked not with the brisk efficiency of the evening, but with the tenderness of someone leaving a room for the last time tonight. The night watch is ending. The man who walked this corridor at midnight, alert, solitary, carrying the weight of 10 sleeping lives, is becoming the man who will light the samovar and set the morning trays and greet the passengers with pressed gloves and a straight collar. The transformation happens here, in the pre-dawn dark, in the passage between the last round and the first task. Something in the posture shifts. The watchman becomes the servant again. The guardian becomes the host. The solitude that was the night's defining quality grows irrelevant as the morning approaches with its voices and its schedules and its needs. The train passes a signal lamp, a green eye in the darkness, confirming the track ahead is clear. Then another. Then a third. The signal lamps are closer together now, which means civilization is approaching. The valley floor, the stations and junctions and crossings where other trains wait on sidings for this one to pass. Your father would have known these signals, would have set them himself, on different track in a different decade, watching from a window above the rails for the headlamp of the approaching express. 4:30. The night watch ends not with an event, but with a decision. It is time to begin again. The pantry, the small service alcove at the car's end, the samovar, cups on hooks, a tray, a spirit lamp, the morning's instruments, cold and waiting. Light the samovar, coal into the firebox, water into the reservoir, the small flame catching, the water beginning to murmur. The first act of the new day. Fire, then water, then heat. 6 morning trays, compartments 1, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. Each tray, cup, saucer, spoon, sugar, a lemon slice on a saucer, arranged by memory, not by list. Coffee for the French and Italian passengers, tea for the English, Russian tea for the Countess. In a tall glass with a metal holder, the style she prefers, the style that reminds her of something you have never asked about. The leather notebook confirms what the hands already know. 6 trays, 6 preferences, 6 small acts of care assembled before anyone is awake to observe them. The samovar begins to hum, the first new sound in hours, the first sound that's not the train's mechanical pulse. From the compartments, the first stirring, a cough, a bedspring creaking, a tap running somewhere. Water through the pipes, the plumbing announcing that the sleeping car is transitioning. The smell of coal from the samovar, and beneath it the clean morning smell that replaces the night's emptiness. The hour between night and morning, the hour that belongs to neither. The fatigue is in the hands now, the fingers slower, the joints stiff from 12 hours of work and cold. The warmth of the samovar spreading through the pantry. The first cup of coffee for yourself, not on duty, not for a passenger, but a small act of self-maintenance. The coffee is bitter and too hot, and it burns the roof of your mouth. and it is the best thing you have tasted all night. Fresh gloves, the third pair, white, crisp, the hands inside them sore at the knuckles. Button the jacket, check the collar in the staff cabin mirror. The face is tired, but the uniform is not, and the uniform is what they see. The key at the belt, the notebook in the pocket, the watch in the waistcoat. Ready. Open the leather notebook. Pencil. The morning notes. Castellani departing Lausanne, compartment 1 to be vacated. Duchamp. Breakfast 7 a.m. Coffee only. Leclerc. Reassured regarding Belgrade arrival. The notebook is the record of a night reduced to pencil marks. 10 names, 10 preferences, 10 small services rendered. Close it. Pocket the pencil. The night is written. The day begins. Pascal appears in the connecting vestibule. His face is creased from sleeping, his uniform rumpled. The admission is visible before the words arrive. I fell asleep. Quiet. Ashamed. The young man's first failure on the night watch. Say nothing. Straighten Pascal's collar. The gesture from the platform. The correction. The lesson. The uniform first. The corridor second. The shame third, and only if it teaches something. Your own first night watch. 23 years old. The uniform too large. Falling asleep at 3 a.m. in the fold-down seat. Chin on chest. Waking to Foucault standing over you in the half-lit corridor. The older man's face not angry. Worse. Disappointed. The disappointment of a man who expected better, because he had trained better. The corridor was unwatched for 40 minutes. 40 minutes is enough to lose a passenger's trust. You did not fall asleep on watch again. Pascal will not either. The lesson carries across 20 years. The same corridor, the same hour, the same shame that hardens into discipline. The corridor's inheritance. Foucault taught you. You teach Pascal. The knowledge that passes not through manuals, but through collar corrections and 4 a.m. reprimands. Something settles in the chest. The fatigue, the loneliness of the night, the unanswered question. All of it lighter now. Hands working, water heating, the morning arriving, the body's knowledge that purpose is a kind of peace. 5:30. Bring the corridor lights to full power. The dial turns, the glow brightens, the paneling gleams, the brass catches the new light. Every surface that was dim is now gold and sharp. The same corridor, entirely different. The windows are no longer mirrors. The Swiss landscape pours through them, grey and white, hills and snow, the first true light of the morning. The sounds go from singular to plural. One tap becomes 3. One cough becomes a murmured conversation. The smell, soap from 5 compartments, each slightly different. Duchamp's French soap, Hartley's English soap, the Countess's Russian soap. The corridor becomes a street. Traffic resumes. You are no longer the sole occupant of a private world. You are a professional in a public space, and the adjustment requires the straightening of the jacket, the checking of the gloves, the composure of the face. Deliver Hartley's morning tea. Knock. Come. The tray, the nod, the door closing. The morning's bookend to last night's hot water. The knock, the tray, the nod, the economy of an exchange polished smooth by 11 repetitions. Compartment 1. Castellani's door opens, and the Italian emerges. Dressed, shaved, smelling of cologne, alive with the particular energy of a man who has slept well on good wine. 3 suitcases and the empty wooden wine crate stacked in the corridor, ready. Lausanne in an hour? Confirm. The train is descending now, the gradient gentle. Lake Geneva ahead, though not yet visible. The Italian clasps your hand, both hands, warm and firm through the cotton gloves. Until the next time, my friend. The generosity of the departing passenger, warmth given freely because the journey is ending and there is nothing left to save. Carry Castellani's bags to the vestibule. 3 suitcases, the empty crate, stacked for the porter at Lausanne. The weight of another man's belongings, carried, arranged, released at the door. Return to the corridor, doors opening, wash basins running, soap and coffee replacing the silence. Mademoiselle Leclerc's door opens. She is dressed carefully, hair pinned, the photograph packed away in the suitcase. Monsieur Renard, how many more hours to Belgrade? The question asked for the 3rd time, the reassurance needed more than the answer. You tell her again, this evening. The station is large. He will be there. The report is the official record. The night is the true one, and you are the only person who holds both. The morning schedule. Lausanne. Arrival approximately 6:45. Castellani disembarks. After Lausanne, the Simplon, 20 kilometers of mountain ahead. The tunnel that made this route opened in 1906, the reason Nagelmacher's Southern Line exists. Inside electric traction, the steam locomotive exchanged for an engine that breathes no smoke. The darkness will last 15 minutes. Then Italy. Then the sun. Then the rest of Europe. The journey continues for 9 passengers. Venice for Duchamp, Vienna for Brandt, Belgrade for Leclerc, Constantinople for Hartley. Your world. 1 car, 10 compartments, shrinking to 9 at Lausanne. Knock on compartment 6 at 7. Entree, the voice theatrical, even at dawn. Duchamp in a silk robe, hair loose, no makeup. A different woman from the one who dined last night. Simpler, younger, without the performance. Coffee on the table. She takes it black, holds it in both hands. The actress is mourning, caffeine and silence. Bijou on the bed, awake, watching with the composure of a lapdog who understands schedules. Knock on compartment 7. The doctor's morning tea. Black, no sugar. The door opens, and something is different. Dr. Brandt is standing at the window, not reading, not seated in his usual chair, standing, looking out. The mountains, he says, not to you, to the window. The Jura is visible now, grey shapes in the pre-dawn, snow on the upper ridges, the first faint light behind them like a promise being kept. Set the tea down. The doctor does not turn. His hand rests on the medical bag, still on the shelf, still closed, the brass clasps dull in the morning light. What Brandt sees, and what you see over his shoulder, the Jura peaks catching the first direct light, the snow turning from grey to white to faintly gold, the valley below still in shadow. A single farmhouse with a lit window. Someone else awake before dawn, someone else tending something. The doctor's face in the window reflection, caught between the mountains and the glass. The expression of a man seeing something beautiful and being ambushed by the sadness it brings. I retired, Brandt says it to the window. 3 years ago, the conference in Paris, I went to listen, not to speak. A pause, his hand still on the bag. The bag is habit, the compartment air, paper, wool, the dry warmth of a room where one person has breathed all night. His voice is quieter than usual, the Austrian accent more pronounced, unguarded. You understand. The bag is what the uniform is to you, what the watch is, the object that says who you are, even when you are no longer doing it. The identity carried forward past its function, the doctor who is no longer a doctor, carrying a bag he no longer opens, the attendant carrying a watch that belonged to a signalman, the tools of a profession held close, because letting go would mean admitting the profession has let go of you. Your tea, doctor. The formality returns. The moment closes. Brandt nods, takes the cup. The door closes. But something has passed between you. The honesty of a man who looked at mountains and accidentally told the truth to his sleeping car attendant. 9 compartments after Lausanne. 9 lives continuing east. Duchamp, Venice, the Teatro La Fenice, Phèdre. Leclerc, Belgrade, the diplomat's son, the photograph. The Countess, Sophia, her sister's grave, the longest journey, the one that never ends, the corridor window at the car's end. You stand where you stood last night, but the glass shows something different now. Dawn. Not yet sunrise, but the sky lightening, the grey lifting, the darkness dissolving from the top of the sky downward. The Jura foothills, snow-covered fields, white against the grey. Farmhouses with smoke rising from chimneys, a church steeple, a dog in a field, a column of smoke from a bakery somewhere below. The first colour, a pale gold line at the eastern horizon. Not the sun, the announcement of the sun. Lake Geneva is ahead, not visible yet, but the land is flattening, the train descending, and the air through the window seals carries the smell of water. Fresh water, cold, the smell of a lake in winter. Your reflection fades in the brightening glass. The man who floated there at 2 a.m., the uniform, the sconces, the corridor, dissolving now as the outside light strengthens. The inside and the outside trading places. The corridor becoming transparent. The world becoming visible. Your father's watch. 6:18 a.m. The night watch is over. The night survived. The corridor held. 600 kilometers since Paris. Through the Burgundy plains, through the Jura grades, through the dark. And you have been awake for all of it. Madeline, at the kitchen table, lamplit, waiting for you to come home. She does not ask about the crossings. She asks, "Did you sleep?" And you always say yes, because the truth that you watch a corridor for 8 hours while strangers dream sounds lonelier than it feels. But it is not lonely. Not now. Not with the window filling with light and the mountains resolving from shadow into stone. The window fills. Light. Mountains. Fields. The first gold. And the corridor is warm behind you. And the Countess is reading in compartment 4. And the girl is dreaming of Belgrade in compartment 8. And the doctor is standing at his window, looking at the same mountains you are looking at. This is your life. The brass key, the white gloves, the knowledge of a corridor that moves through the night at 80 kilometers per hour. The passengers behind the doors, the stories you carry and release. The watch in your pocket, the question you carry and do not release. It is enough. The corridor is enough. The watch in the pocket and the dawn in the window and the passengers behind the doors. This is what you chose. And in the early light, descending toward Lausanne, the choosing is not loss, it is presence. Chef de Brigade Foucault appears at the corridor's far end, 6:15, morning inspection. On time, you stand straight, adjust the gloves, check the jacket, meet the old man's eye with the steady attention of a man who has been here all night and is ready for the day. Foucault nods. The Countess's morning tea. Russian glass, metal holder, hot, strong, knock, enter. She is still reading. The same book, the same page perhaps. Merci, Étienne. A pause. Did you sleep? Yes, madam. The lie, gently given, gently received. She knows. She asks anyway. The morning continues. The train slows. Lausanne. The platform appears through the corridor windows, the station building, the Swiss clock showing 6:47, porters in grey coats waiting by the track. Castellani at the vestibule, bags ready. He shakes your hand one final time. The Barolo is from the 1918 harvest, a difficult year, but the wine does not know it. A last sentence, a gift. The Italian steps down to the platform. Overcoat, 3 bags, the empty crate, and the train takes his compartment away. The platform slides past. The brakes release. The departure whistle sounds. The locomotive pulls. The sleeping car is a room that never belongs to anyone for long. Not the passengers, not even you. Lausanne, cold, bright, December morning, breath visible, the Swiss clock precise, the lake appearing for a moment between buildings, grey water, grey sky, white mountains behind, and then the buildings close around the track, and the tunnel mouth approaches, the Simplon, the daylight about to end and begin again on the other side. The night is over, and with it, the particular knowledge the night gives. What the corridor looks like at 2 a.m. What the stars look like from the Jura. What a lonely woman says about the sound of a house. These things belong to the man who stayed awake. They are the night's gift, offered only to the watcher. The passengers will wake and remember nothing of the corridor at midnight. You will remember everything. The morning is underway. Lausanne receding behind the train. The car alive with voices and footsteps and the smell of coffee. But something is changing. The edges of the walls soften. The brass fittings lose their sharpness. The corridor light, which was so precise a moment ago, begins to blur at the margins. The passengers' voices thin. Castellani's warmth, Leclerc's questions, Hartley's monosyllables, Duchamp's laughter, all of them becoming distant, as if heard through glass, as if the train were pulling away from a platform where the voices stand. The uniform loosens. The gold buttons fade. The brass key at your belt becomes lighter. Lighter. As if the metal were dissolving, as if the chain were thread, as if the key had never been solid at all. The white gloves dissolve, your hands are bare, and then your hands are not quite your hands. The corridor narrows, the 10 doors become fewer, the walls become plainer. The deep carpet pales, the sconces dim, one by one, not to half power, but to something less. Something further, the glow withdrawing into the brass. You are not Étienne Renard, not anymore. The uniform is gone, the key is gone, the notebook is someone else's now, the pencil marks, the preferences, the names, someone else's corridor, someone else's night. The train's rhythm slows, the clickety-clack widens, the sway gentles. The vibration through the floor becomes a memory of vibration, the body remembering motion that has stopped. The The passengers dissolve. The Countess, the scent of lavender, then the sound of her voice saying, the sound of a house, then silence. Castellani, the clink of a glass, the warmth of a handshake, then the warmth fading. Leclerc, the photograph in the silver frame, the girl's face, the question, how many more hours, then the question dissolving into quiet. Brandt, the medical bag on the shelf, the brass clasps, the mountains in the window, then the mountains becoming clouds, becoming nothing. Duchamp, Shalimar, then silk, then the click of a dog's nails, then silence. The corridor empties in reverse order. The last sounds are the first to fade, and the oldest sounds remain longest. The watch remains longest. The steel case, the steady tick, your father's time, the weight of it in the waistcoat pocket, the weight of 31 years on the Paris-Lyon line, the weight of a man's hands that were never still. But even this fades. The ticking becomes softer, becomes heartbeat, becomes breath. The corridor is gone. The panelling, the carpet, the sconces, the 10 doors with their 10 sleeping lives. All of it folding inward, contracting, narrowing, until the only thing left is the warmth and the motion and the sound of wheels that becomes the sound of breathing that becomes silence. Sheets, your sheets, soft, still, unmoving, no sway, no clickety-clack, no key at the belt, just the bed, just the pillow, just the dark. The vault closes its door. The moment returns to stillness, sleep,